Hunting is in my family's blood, and for my father Greg and I, it's our whole way of life. This is our playground and these are our adventures.
Oh yeah, baby.
Go right!
Oh, look at that chamois. Is that the big buck? Which one is it? He's going ballistic. Oh, what's that? Woohoo! 14-inch bull.
This is NZ Hunter Adventures.
Kawika traffic, Juliet Bravo Tango is on the ground at Patoka Station, about to get airborne and track round the southern end of Kawikas up the Narrowora for the boys.
This week we're in the central North Island, heading for the Boyd Airstrip, located in the headwaters of the Narororo River in the Kaimanawa Forest Park. Joining us for this trip is legendary Canterbury salmon fisheries expert and virgin seeker hunter Ross Millerchamp. I was lucky enough to hitch a ride in with Ross, who has developed a keen interest in backcountry flying, while the rest of the team would arrive by helicopter.
What type of plane is this?
It's a Cessna 182.
182.
We're still heading right, or we got to head?
Yep, no, I think this is the Narrowora River Valley.
Okay, so
Right,
we're going to come in downstream of the Boyd.
Yeah, so this is where we'll be rafting down. That's the Manson up there. We were hoping to go for a hunt.
Yeah.
Rocks ahead below us, so yeah, this is the valley.
With some rough directions from the co-pilot, we wound our way over the forested slopes of the western Kawikas, heading for the golden tussock land of the upper Narororo River Valley.
Kaimanawa traffic, Juliet Bravo Tango, checking up the Narrowora, 2,800, tracking 5 miles below the Boyd, tracking for landing at the Boyd. Round into the base leg of the circuit before coming into land at the Boyd. We've just done a run over it and found which way the wind's going, which is sort of helpful, so here we go.
The Boyd Airstrip is one of only a few remaining bush airstrips available to the public in the North Island, and is set in some pretty spectacular scenery.
Nice one, Ross. Thanks very much.
Wasn't that smooth, it was quite a bumpy old thing, isn't it?
Safely on the ground, it wasn't long before Chris Cross of East Kawika Helicopters arrived with the rest of the crew.
G'day, I'm Ross Millerchamp. I'm from Canterbury and I normally spend my time salmon fishing, but I've come up north to have a look at some seeker country and hopefully shoot a seeker deer. As you can see, I've got a number of physical issues which are going to make this trip interesting. It all came about when I was on a hunting trip at Stewart Island, like I've done many times before, and I got a small cut to my left hand and contracted a bacterial infection called necrotizing fasciitis, which is commonly known as the flesh-eating disease. I got really very unwell. I had to be airlifted off Stewart Island and I ended up in Invercargill Hospital, and for a few days it was pretty touch and go. Basically my body went into septic shock and started to shut down, and in order to keep me alive the medics had to take fairly drastic action, some of which includes cutting off the blood supply to your hands and your feet to keep your core body blood pressure and heart and other functions going. As a consequence, I'm now a below knee double amputee, so I've got my knees, which is fantastic because it makes a big difference, but everything from there down is missing. And my hands have got quite a lot of functional problems due to a whole lot of scar tissue, so they don't work that well either. But anyway, I get around on these prosthetic legs. Basically, it's just a carbon fibre socket which your leg stump sits in, and in the foot there's a little carbon fibre blade that works like a little spring that helps you walk around in the high country and yeah, hopefully get us around some of the seeker country.
Right, we've all made it here now to Boyd's Airstrip in the upper Narrowora River. We've got Ross, who you've already met, and we've got Willie's great mate Henry, who's coming along as a general dog's body and lackey and helper-outer for the trip. The main objective for this trip is to try and get Ross his first seeker deer. Now Ross is a South Island hunter and he's never seen a seeker before. And we're also going to try and catch some of the wonderful trophy rainbow trout that this upper Narurua River is famous for.
So from here we're going to drop down off the airstrip into the river, blow up our pack rafts, which are inflatable kayaks, and they're going to carry all this gear, and man, there's a lot of it. And we're going to travel a few k's down to the famous Charlie's Burn area, where hopefully we'll find a deer for us tonight.
Right, so we're just packing a reasonable amount of gear in these cargo dry bags, slide them up inside each tube, and it gets your weight down low in the tubes and keeps your centre of gravity really low rather than all piled up on the bow. So this is the way you blow them up. It's like a cram bag. You just open it up, catch some air in it, twist on the top to seal it off, put it between your legs, squeeze the air into the boat. The river's at an all-time low. So what we're doing in these top braided sections where it's too shallow to boat properly, we're just going to tow the boats behind us, and so we can pull them over the shallow bits, and when it gets down to where it narrows up into more of a single channel and there's a bit more depth, then we'll get in and paddle.
Well, the low river level is an absolute bugger. It's now approaching 8 p.m, so we've been going for about an hour downstream from the Boyd Strip, and we've barely got to paddle our rafts once. We're heading for the burn hopefully, and Dad reckons another half an hour down. You made it, Ross. Well, it's 9 p.m. We made it down to the burn, but not in time for a hunt. It's a bit of a bummer, but plan now is just make a camp here up in this tussock terrace here, have some dinner, and we'll be up early to have a crack at a sika.
It's such a balmy evening this evening, we haven't even bothered to put the tents up. We just put up the fly, get the billy boiling and get tea on and kick back and relax. Complete whiteout this morning, so that put the kibosh on the plans and gave the boys a sleeping. We'll have a very small window of opportunity when this fog lifts, so we've got to be ready to roll up the hill. The area we're hunting is called Charlie's Burn, and it was created by some poor hunter who lit a fire here and went down to the stream to get some water. By the time he got back, it had taken off, got into the Manawa and burnt right up this valley, burning a large area on both the true left and the true right. It cost him his house because he had to pay for the cost of putting the fire out. This was in the days before the deerstalkers and their public liability insurance. The name Charlie's Burn comes from Charlie James Airstrip, but we'll show you that a bit later on when we get up there. Right, so if you boys head on right down around this right hand side of this terrace under the burn and get up there where you can glass into that creek and back up there, we'll just meander on across here. Keep in touch via the rhinos and see who sees what.
So what are we looking for, Greg?
Well, this time of year, sika are actually pretty easy to spot because their summer coats very orangey colour, and they're like a glow bug. If they've got sun on them, they actually glow on the faces. So if they're side on, you can see sort of the shoulder or the flanks or the hindquarters. They really glow bright orange out of the tussock or the scrub. Well, it's either all going to happen in a hurry this morning or not at all. The sun's going to hit, then very quickly it's going to get too hot, so they'll either be out or come out to grab the first rays of sun if they're a little bit chilly. It won't take them long and they'll be gone. So all this country, this whole valley's all been searched and destroyed for about the last 3 years. But we negotiated with DOC that it was hinds only. They've only taken hinds out of here. They haven't shot any of the stags. So, and we know from some of the radio tracking work we did with sika that this was one of the prime areas for stags to come and spend their summer before they disappeared back into the bush blocks for the roar. But it's been a very dry year, and I just know that there hasn't been a lot of deer seen in this burn area up here this year. So, but there's feed in the bottoms of those gullies, particularly those easterly, southeasterly facing gullies that don't dry out as much. So there's got to be deer somewhere.
This is NZ Hunter Adventures.
Copy that.
Yeah, copy, Willie.
Just spotted
bloody typical. We've come right up here and Willie spotted one down by camp when he's looked back out that way this morning. Copy, Willie. What do you think it is? Over.
It was pretty sure it was a hind, either a hind or a young stag or some sort.
Roger that, jump straight down, give us some directions and get back there ASAP.
Okay, so we've cut round from that last knob, we've come right back almost to where we had our original camp, and we're within about 500 yards of where Willie saw the deer, but it's disappeared and we're waiting for it to reappear any time now.
It's now 11:30 AM and Roscoe's deer never appeared again. So we're going to head back to our base camp, rest up for the day. We might leave Ross there for a sleep, we might head down, have a bit of a fly fish, and then we'll be back here on the job this evening for one last crack. Alright, we're back at camp. We've had lunch. We're going to leave Ross here to kip for a few hours, and we're going to drop back down the river for a couple of k's and fish our way back upstream.
Well, we're just about to drop back down into the river and fish our way back up to Ross, but just before we do, we thought we'd show you this old bush airstrip. Now, this was made by Charlie James. He's a famous old bush pilot. He wrote 3 books about his exploits in the hills. This was the second airstrip he made, and that was so he could go around the corner and hunt where we've been hunting for the last couple of days, and now you know why it gets its name. The dock hierarchy found out about this strip and they soon stopped them from using it because it's on public land. I think you'd need to be a brave pilot to land on it now. She looks a little overgrown and bumpy.
With the gin clear waters of the Narororo now in sight, it was time to get into fishing mode. So I've set up the Airflow Bandit rod with the Manic Torque reel. This is a really good value for money package you can get from your local hunting and fishing. And Henry's just going to talk through what flies we'll be running.
Well, as you can hear, there's plenty of cicadas chirping. Also got a reasonably strong downriver breeze which will blow them onto the water. So that's exactly what we're going to imitate as a cicada. So we spotted a fish cycling around this pool, doing quite a random beat, so we're just trying to figure it out. Greg's moved him to position on this knob to see what happens. Oh, he's right down the back now, Greg.
Where's he gone now? What's he up to?
He's just under that cliff.
See if he wants to come up that far.
But yeah, he's just making his way back up very slowly now on our edge.
This fish here just looks like he's doing a bottom of the pool cruise, doesn't it?
Yeah, we haven't seen too many mouths open.
We should just have a look and see if there is anything feeding up there. Alright, we're going to head up and look at that next piece because this fish is just doing the deep bottom of the pool cruise and not really looking like he's feeding. So hopefully you'll find something feeding in that faster bit of water coming in there.
So we'll try and use this dry fly to start with, bring him to the surface. If that doesn't work, we'll tie on a small nymph dropper about 2 feet below the surface and drift that past him.
Out there.
Oh, it's coming back. Leave it. But leave it. Are you filming?
Strike! Strike! Oh, you. That was perfect. Well, I reckon it was a little soon. I only got about 1-2.
Yeah.
What happened to the God Save the Queen, Henry? We're not nymphing.
He needed to turn his head.
Yeah, I know. He hadn't turned his head, had he?
I was excited.
I better look good from over there.
Our fisheries expert Ross put the lack of feeding fish down to the unseasonably hot summer and ridiculously warm water.
It's now 6 o'clock, time to get back to camp, get up the hill and look for Ross's deer from this morning. Well, Ross and Willie should be just about up there already. Hopefully they'll just about found Ross's deer from this morning and be all ready and waiting for us.
Well, it's 7 o'clock. We've got a couple of hours till darkness. We're back up here at our lookout. We last saw this animal this morning, just pre-lunchtime, bedded down in the scrub, so hopefully it appears again for Ross to get behind the gun.
Yeah, got one.
Got one. 1,300 yards away. Go to the big far knob. Come 50 metres down to the left. I can't tell what it is, but it's a big orange bugger. Very fat, tasty looking 6-pointer, but too far away for this late at night. Bugger. Yeah, we wouldn't get to him, would we?
Still haven't seen a deer that's within shootable range. The only deer we've seen tonight is that 6-pointer, 1,300 some yards away. So it's just about too dark now to see them, and it's definitely too dark to film them. So we're going to go and set up camp and come back for one last go in the morning.
So we're setting up the fly on the spot, and that saves Ross having to beat his legs all the way back to our base camp. The hunting is lean. Lady Luck is definitely not on our side. Oh, there's one. Big orange bugger. Round in that scrubby face to the right of that knobby rock you're talking about. Looks like a stag, what is it?
It's definitely a stag, a very nice stag. I think he's probably an 8. I can see he's just silent at the moment. We can see his brows and trays. I'm pretty sure he's got inners.
All right, let's get round there, boys. No time to waste. Race against time before the steer beats us back to the cover.
So yeah, he's fed down across that face and he's gone out of our sight, and we think he's gone into that dark gully, so he's probably either heading in there to bed up or hopefully still feeding. Okay, so we'll head off and we'll get down and we'll head across the flat and just see if we can get in line to look up that gully. And Willie, you get up on that knob over there and see what line you can get in there from there.
With a well thought out plan, we were sure we would finally get Ross onto an animal. The stag, however, had a different idea.
Well, unfortunately, we have no idea where that stag went. When we saw him up there and we packed up all our gear and we came down, he was last seen just making his way around that face, and it looked like he had a long way to go to get to any cover. There's a bit of a gut coming out there, and we think possibly he'd bedded up in there, and we've sat here and waited for ages, and Henry's had to wander up there and he hasn't been in there. There's no sign of him anywhere, so he's vamoosed. And it's now 1 o'clock, we can't wait any longer. We need to get heading down the river today, so he's escaped.
Well, camp's all packed up now. We're giving up on the burn. They burnt us a few too many times. Not many deer around. Ross is ready in his pack raft, and we're heading downstream for about an hour and a half to fresh waters, and we may even find you a deer tonight, Ross. Trying to put the feet up and paddle. Nice one, Ross.
All right.
It's now approaching 7 p.m. and once again we've ran out of time to have a decent fly fish. We've just pulled the boats aside as we're going to camp up on this terrace. This area is called Jason's Burn, named after a helicopter pilot who started a burn here. This is the last handy country to find Ross a deer, so one last crack tonight and then we'll be downriver fishing in the morning. The spirits are slowly being lifted with the warm backcountry, and they need it. We're going to have one last look early in the morning, and then we'll be fishing our way down the river.
This is NZ Hunter Adventures.
Well, we didn't have too much success on the Seeker this morning. We've just had a quick breakfast, packed up our fly camp, and now we're going to boat our way down the river fishing some of the nicest trout water in New Zealand. Hopefully we'll have some luck on some cunning rainbows.
First pull downstream from camp, Henry spotted the fish. We're just trying to nail down where he's feeding at the moment and figure out whether our combination of blue humpy and beadhead pheasant tail on the dropper is going to be right for him. Oh, he's coming. Here we go, here we go, here we go. He didn't hit it.
Right.
Yeah, got him.
Yes.
Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo. Oh no!
Yeah, run down. Don't trust your mate's knots. That's probably
What do
the,
they say about never trust your mate's knots?
The fish busted us off at the top fly, and it served as a good reminder to get your knots right and always wet them before snugging them up.
We're back on the raft with all our gear. We're now going to head downstream and then tackle the gorge. Let's get into it.
Straight, go straight. That's it, nice. Come on, Mel, pedal, pedal. You didn't do it right at all. You got away with it though, because there's not much current there. Oh, look at Henry lean away from the rock. Lean into the rock, like Willie did just then. Whoa! Lean right! Yeah! Ah, nice! You make it look too easy, Rob. I've just been speaking to Chris on the sat phone and he said there's some heavy thunderstorms forecast for the headwaters tonight. And because the river's been so low and bony and so hard in the rafts and the fishing's been hard as well, we're going to pull out and head for the tops. He's going to come in and pick us up just downstream at Ngāparua, flick us up to Manson Bivvy, and from there we're going to be able to hunt the Manson country with Ross instead of us walking up like we originally intended. It's been raining all around the tops today, which means that with any luck, a fine day forecast tomorrow, the hunting should be a cracker up there.
With a ton of gear to shift, Chris did the first load in the R44 and called up his number 2 Pete, who had just dropped off a party nearby in the 500 to do the second.
Alright, here we are at the Manson Bivvy helipad. Dad and Ross got picked up in the R44 and they've headed off through the bush shadow up to the main Manson tops there. And then Henry, myself and the cameraman Sam got picked up in the 500. We've been dropped here. We're going to go catch them up. I think the plan is to make camp just inside the bush edge to be ready for the morning.
With the rain from earlier in the day now gone, the evening turned into an absolute cracker.
Alright, what flavour do you want tonight, Ross? It's a good selection here.
I might try the cottage pie, I haven't tried that yet.
Cottage pie, well, there you go, look at that.
Beautiful.
Under the stars tonight. Can't beat that.
This should have been a prime place to catch one out this morning, but unfortunately the wind changed halfway during the night and it's been peeling over into here all night, so there's not much point spending any time here. We'll get back, get up the top and just work our way along, glassing both faces.
Well, Murphy's still on our back this morning. It's howling a gale, completely clagged in. We're still just making our way around to Spear on Cop.
Well, that ruined our breakfast. We just sat down here and we're going to settle in and have a cup of tea and porridge and glass all our favourite country. Unfortunately, we'd only just got the binos out and Sam spotted a yearling hind on that face over there. So now we're going to try and scream round onto that rocky knob and get Ross a shot. So let's go.
We've dropped down the ridge and cut the range right down. And fingers crossed, we pop over that knob. The deer will still be sitting asleep on the bush edge. Looking good. Now the wind's just got to hold. And Ross has got to get here in time.
It's only 280 yards. And it's sitting there. We can't ask for better than that. Perfect range for Fee's little bush pig. Hey, come up here. If you come down the left-hand side of the gut, there's a toa out off to the side. It's between that toa. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's it. Obviously, we can have a bit of left to right wind, so that bullet's going to blow to the right a little bit. Okay. How steady are you there? Should be pretty good with that back. Rest. Yeah, good now. Don't touch that trigger till you're ready. Till the crossies are right where you want it to go.
Yeah, but I'm ready to go.
Crossies are right where you want it to go. Same place, Ross. Shot, Roscoe. Great stuff. You drilled it. You drilled it. Beauty. You beauty. Come look at this.
That's the spirit. Well, we've had a pretty enjoyable, fun breakfast after getting a deer. We're going to now head up the hill, over onto the Spion Cop range and down there to the fly camp and duck down and grab the deer. And we're good for an evening hunt.
Henry and I were given the word to race around, grab Ross's deer, carry it up and then meet everyone back at camp. So we're off.
Just dropped down to Ross's yearling seeker hind. Fantastic coat. It's got one of the bright orange spotted coats they get, especially going into late summer. And he absolutely drilled it. He's taken out some of the neck and some of the front shoulder. I think Ross might want a photo with it, so I'm going to carry it out whole, which means I'll just put a slight cut here, take the guts out, head back up to meet the boys.
Delivery service for Ross Millichamp. Venison or pizza?
Yearling or
Yeah, the lovely,
Yep.
it's a good sized yearling actually.
been a pretty long grind over the last week. The weather's been incredibly hot and the deer hunting's been pretty hard work. But as we came down the river in the boats yesterday, there's quite a bit of rain up on the tops here. So we got lifted up to the tops. Didn't quite get time to have an evening hunt, but we got out first thing this morning and typical first morning after some rain, got this lovely yearling seeker deer. Hasn't all been easy. There's been a few hiccups along the way, trips and falls, but we've got here thanks to the great team and yeah, it's been a great day.
This is NZ Hunter Adventures.
We had a very relaxing afternoon, lunch and then a bit of a snooze. Now we're all packed up. We're heading down to one of our favourite evening spots. Get amongst.
Back on the job. All right. The Manson country is pretty special for our family because it's the place where my brother and I both shot our very first deer. And we were hunting, I think, probably since we were toddlers with Dad and his mates. We were spotting animals, we were watching them shoot them, doing the hard yarns around this kind of big country. But Dad said, you're not allowed to shoot your first deer until you're 10 years old. So that's so we gained appreciation for it. So when we turned 10 years old, we hopped in a helicopter, flew into Manson Hut. I shot my first deer behind Manson Hut on the big slip. Then we came fly camping. I shot my second deer down here on what was known as the cricket pitch, which was a green slip that looks like it's gone now. While my brother shot his first deer just over behind us here. So it's a great place of many a fond memory. And now Ross has just added another one, shooting his very first sika deer here also. It's 8:30 p.m, time to head back to camp. Dad and Roscoe have already got a head start on us. We thought we had our mojo back this evening after having a bit of luck this morning, but we came out here, glassed the country, and pretty much saw nothing. Dad saw one hind on a clearing way down in the creek below us, which was out of range. But apart from that, we've had 5 people glassing, including Campbell and Sam, and didn't pick up anything. So back to camp, and then we'll try luck in the morning on those Ngāororo faces. We're up early, pulling camp, and then we're going to hunt away around Spion Cop, hunt the river faces, and then eventually we'll drop down to Roxy Head Hut. Willie's just called up from back there. He's out on a knob, out on the side ridge. He spotted 2 deer around the side here, so we're trying to race Ross around on this horrible sidling and see if we can get within range. That little rocky knob down there would be the place. Oh, there's one just down here. Copy, Willie, there's one right below us. 200 yards there. See it, dude? Okay. There's a yearling 200 yards below us, still feeding. Actually, that's not a yearling, Ross. That's a hind and a little fawn, so we better leave it. We'll leave it. That's a pretty late fawn by the look of it. That looks too young. If we shot that hind, that fawn would just end up being a runt now. It'll still be well and truly on its mother's milk. See it there? There's 2 there, but one of them's right out in the middle of that toot bed. I'll see if I can get the spotter on it and get some footage of it. So there's beautiful mountain toot beds all the way down the clay pens on that ridge. Those ones we just filmed then are 950 yards, so just a little bit far for this morning for Ross. And now we've got a band of cloud that's come in, and we're sitting sort of just up in it, so we're going to drop down about 100 yards maybe and try and get just under it, and then it's time for breakfast. We've had breakfast now, and now we're going to wander around and turn off down the Roxy Head track and head for the river. Talking to Chris on the sat phone, he said they've had a lot of rain in the headwaters while we've been up here, so he said the river's been right up, so it'll be interesting to see what it's like for the fishing and boating. Let's go, boys.
With the way our luck had been going on this trip, it was a given that as soon as Ross and Dad had left our breakfast spot, something would appear within shooting range.
Nothing to say apart from bloody typical. We're just about to head off and I spotted a hind looking at us right up high, 200 yards away. It must have spotted Dad or Ross and went running off. So the sika deer had the last laugh on this trip. Now time to drop down and get into the fishing. Let's go.
With a bit of sheer grit and determination, Ross had done remarkably well to get around all of the country to date on his prosthetic limbs. And the last hurdle was just the long, steep, grueling drop-off down to Roxy Head Hut.
The mighty cableway. See that? The wasp nest right there. Stay away from that wasp nest. If they start attacking me going across the cable, I'll not be impressed. You won't be able to get off. Well, you missed all the action then. Poor old Henry got stung twice. The wasp came out, we did a run, and the cameraman went one way because he's allergic. So we've abandoned the cableway. She's not going to be a happening thing. So now we're going to have to try and cross the river. So the river's, I just called up on the sat phone, it's 6.5 cumex. The other day when we flew out onto the tops, it was at 2 cumex, so it's got over three times as much water in it. So this is going to be fun, both for the boating and the fishing. Fishing should be a lot easier with any luck.
We're heading halfway between here and Kiwimouth Hut. That's where we'll make camp. We hope the fishing should be good.
Yep, get halfway between the huts where nobody else can get at.
So just pulled up about a K above camp, and we're just going to try fish a few of these pools and hopefully get some trout to cook tonight. I am fishing a double nymph rig at the moment. The river's come up a fair bit and we haven't seen anything sort of near the surface, so we're going to be fishing, I guess, to the bottom of the river now. So I've got a yarn indicator on now, so as soon as a fish grabs the nymphs, that should dip below the surface and I will strike. Yep. Oh, not a bad fish. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't go down, otherwise I'm stuffed. I might even cross over, pull it away from this bank. Just sort of working into the bank, trying to keep low angle pressure, I guess, and we've only got 5 pound tippet on, I guess, so you've got to be reasonably careful, especially with these large boulders. Watch out, man, who's spooking off you, eh? Yeah, you go down, Greg. Leave it. There you go. Yes! Beautiful. Look at the condition. Beautiful 5 pound rainbow from the crystal clear water, so we're going to put him back to hopefully breed another day.
I think it's fair to say that our chief fishing guide breathed a sigh of relief after finally getting us on the board with a trout, after some incredibly tough fishing earlier on in the trip.
So I'm going to try find one slightly smaller for dinner. I think that one was a fraction over 550. I just screamed. Big black eel nibbling on me. Yep. Oh, not happy. Shaking its head. That's what we want. Something for dinner.
You tied your knot properly, Henry?
Yep. Always trust your own knots.
Oh, yeah.
Don't trust your mate's knots. Oh, the eel's going for the trout. Yeah, so I'll just bring its head up, hopefully, at the end, and yeah, he should just flop into the net. There you go, Greg. Hey!
Yes, that one's definitely an eater. We can't kill and eat a fish over 550. Because we're going to eat this fish tonight, we'll get it scaled now. And then we'll get to camp, we'll fillet it and go to our special river recipe.
Fishing guide pulled through tonight with dinner. Now it's going to be half an hour raft down the river, find a campsite and relax for potentially our last night of the trip. This is NZ Hunter Adventures.
now filleted our beautiful fresh trout, and we're dropping it in our seasoning mix, which is basically just flour and salt and pepper, and then into the pan. Some oil in it. You don't want to overcook it, but it does want to be just cooked through.
Delicious. Beautiful, Henry. Nicely cooked.
Better than a Rakai salmon, Ross?
Never.
We're just finishing our feast. Started with an entree of pan-fried trout, followed by some backcountry, vibuti and roast lamb and vegetables, and then finishing off with the backcountry pudding, apple pie, apricot crumble, and fruit salad trifles. So, very sport tonight. Clear night. We're going to camp under the fly and head upriver for a fish in the morning. Alright, it's just after 9 AM. We're all rigged up, and Roscoe's going to have first crack at the camp trout.
I've been fishing and hunting most of my life and fished and hunted right around New Zealand, but my real love is salmon fishing on the big braided rivers of Canterbury, the Rakaia in particular. We've got a little fishing hut at the mouth of the Rakaia, spend a lot of time there. For a long time I was also involved in Fish and Game. I was a manager with Fish and Game in Christchurch, and management of the salmon fishery was probably the most significant part of that role. And so I'm sort of worked and recreated in the same field. It's been going good so far, and I'm really enjoying the chance to come out here and have a look at some new country.
Look, it's going for it, it's going for it, let it go, let it go, let it go. Yes, right, right.
Oh,
no. Took it.
I reckon I broke it.
He's broken off.
I reckon I broke it. Now these knots, Henry,
Yeah.
we're not far enough, or?
Yep. Yep, it's good.
I'd say the fish is about there.
How about there?
You buggers won't look at it anymore.
You're dirty, Roscoe! You're dirty!
I'm trying to getting it in pretty remote.
Excellent!
I'm going to try and just play it off the reel if I can. He's way up here, Henry.
Yeah, right.
Well, I had to loosen off the drag. Henry had a bloody marlin drag set. Got all day.
Yay! Now by double!
Well done.
High Country Seeker and High Country Rainbow.
Beautiful.
Magnificent.
Thanks, Henry. I reckon 3 pounds.
Bang on 3.5.
It was a lovely Narrarora High Country Rainbow trout. Beautiful trout. The first trout I've caught on a fly rod since my accident, actually, so pretty cool.
It's just a totally different river with all this water in it, isn't it?
Yeah, and what you'll find is the water temperature will be a bit cooler and the trout will be feeding better because of it. What happens when the water temperature gets warm is initially they stop feeding as the temperature goes up, then they stop producing eggs and milk, and finally if it gets even hotter they eventually die.
Yeah.
But they actually stop feeding at quite a modest temperature.
Yeah. I mean, it was way too warm earlier in the week. Now, it's classic.
Beautiful.
Every fish we've seen has been on station feeding strongly.
Yeah.
Catchable. And the rafting's more fun too.
That's what we like, easy one.
Let's find another one. Woo! That was the tail fish, wasn't it? Yeah, I could see him flashing in there. You have to chase them. Deep hole there though. He's coming back up now. Try and muscle this one in quick. Is he going to come inside that rock? Come on, mate. Inside the rock. Good. Unfortunately, he's going to be too big to smack on the head. Still no lunch trout. Cracker bonza grouse. Stunning fish. Okay, let him go. Yeah, lovely fish. Lovely high country rainbow. As hunters, we tend to spend a lot of time around some of the greatest backcountry trout fisheries in the world. And a lot of people don't make the most of these opportunities. And the most effective and fun way to catch trout in these backcountry waters is by fly fishing. Hunting and Fishing New Zealand stock a really great range of these airflow packages starting at just $99. Now Henry is a super keen younger generation fly fisherman, is going to take you through what he recommends for this sort of fishing in the way of terminal tackle.
So my terminal tackle begins with a 9-foot tapered leader. We then tie on a section of 4 to 6 feet depending on the depth of 6-pound fluorocarbon tippet. This then ties on to our first nymph. In most cases we're using a double bead or heavily weighted 10 or 12 size herring copper variation. This then leads on to the dropper nymph, in this case a foot of 6-pound fluorocarbon down to a size 12 or 14 pheasant tail variation. Depending on the depth and what areas we're fishing, we'll use a strike indicator. So in this case it's just a simple piece of clear tube and wool. You can adjust this quite easily depending on what depth of water you're fishing. The main reason why I fish the indicator quite close to the nymphs is so you stay in contact with your nymphs. So you can see the minute a trout makes contact with one of them, you know when to strike.
We're all packed up and the boats are loaded, and now we're going to boat and fish our way right down to Kiwimouth Hut, which is where we'll pull out tonight and crisscross with Flickus back to Civvy Street. Alright, let's go Henry, downriver.
Oh, it's pretty nice water.
A little bit more murky than the last boating, but this extra flow makes paddling a lot easier. Watch out for that boulder, Ross. He's a man, Ross. Now that we had landed some fish on film, I was let loose on the last few pulls down to Kiwimouth, and it didn't take long for the team's most novice fishermen to have some luck. Alright. Hey! A baby! It's a puppy. Alright, tight lines. I think it's about a pound. Fish finger. Goodbye, fish finger. Away he goes to join his mates. Carry on.
Well, that's it. We're at Kiwimouth. This is our pickup point. Chris will be here in about half an hour to give us our ride back out to civilization. Well, it's been a really great trip on one of my favourite Central Plateau high country rivers, the Narororo. Started off pretty dry and hot in the high country, bit of rain in the middle, and we pulled it all together in the end.
There's been a lot of firsts for me on this trip. Sika deer, first rainbow trout on a fly rod for a while, the rafting of course, and I've sure done more miles than I've ever done before on my prosthetic legs. But most of all, I had a great time with a great bunch of people.
A huge thank you must go out to our loyal family of sponsors. Without their support, we wouldn't be able to bring the beautiful New Zealand backcountry and the majestic animals that roam it into your living rooms every week. We rely on their products to perform out in the field, so you can be assured if we're using it, it's good gear that will stand the test of time. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and be sure to grab a copy of the latest NZ Hunter magazine, the Bible of Hunting in New Zealand, to catch these and many more adventures.